and welcome to season 3 of Unapologetically Uterine with your hosts, VNA and Gail. And we have a really exciting episode today because, as you know, it's May, and around the world, a lot of people celebrate Mother's Day in May. And there are many misconceptions around abortion, partly due to misunderstanding and misinformation on the topic. Among many of those myths and legends are some common ones about mothers and mothers who may have had an abortion, mothers who may want to have an abortion, mothers can or can't they be pro-choice. So a lot of things
Mhm.
go around this conversation, and we want to know more about abortion and motherhood, and we're here to separate myths from realities. And today we have a really special guest, Camille. Say hi, Camille.
Everyone. I'm Camille.
So, Camille is a marketing professional with over 10 years of experience in commercial and development sector. She worked at MSI Cambodia, advocating for access to contraception and safe abortion. As a senior program coordinator at Swipe RX, a pharmacy-focused digital health company, she supports projects on pharmacist capacity and contraceptive choices. She develops online training and digital campaigns on public health issues and writes funding proposals. And Camille fully supports safe, legal abortion and decriminalization of abortion in the Philippines. And outside of work, Camille is a CrossFit athlete, manages her own gym, and is a proud mother to her teenage son, which makes her the perfect person for this episode because Gail and I do not have children and we needed somebody who does so that they can give us their insight. Hello, Camille.
Hello. That's a very nice introduction. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much for taking the time to come with us, to chat with us. Like we
Mhm.
mentioned, there are a lot of things that we wanted to take into account today, but we needed a mom to to help us figure this out. So, yeah,
Exactly.
can you tell us a little bit more about your experience becoming a mother? How was your experience deciding if you wanted to be a mom or not? Like, how was this whole journey for you?
All right. So my pregnancies actually wasn't planned.
Mm-hmm.
So I got pregnant when I was 23. So my boyfriend and I actually used condom, but actually it broke. Apparently, the condom has been in his wallet for a long time. And then realize it. There's events where they give, free condoms, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what he used that time. So so yeah, so I wasn't ready. I just graduated from college. I started working a year ago after that,
Mm-hmm.
and that time I realized that I was pregnant. And honestly, that time I did try to end my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I told my best friend about it first. And in the Philippines, as abortion is illegal here, and you can never get an abortion here in the Philippines. So
Mm-hmm.
I knew about it when I was young, and my friends told me about it. And there's also a lot of, information about herbal medicines, getting herbal medicines to
Mm.
for you to be able to end your pregnancy. So honestly, I did go to that place. It's ironic because the place where they sell herbal medicines are actually in front of a church.
Oh.
So yeah. So that's weird. Anyway, so
Mhm,
um, but actually on that day, I just realized I couldn't do it. I was worried about the safety of course my child if ever I do that.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the guarantee of being effective again because
Mm.
we don't have any access to abortion in the Philippines. So yeah, that's the story about my pregnancy and my motherhood. But actually, when I did continue my pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I had a C-section.
Mm.
So and before that, actually, my pregnancy wasn't perfect. I was envy to other women who were like pregnant. I feel like I was jealous with them because they're so beautiful still. They have, I was so ugly. I was so, you know I didn't like my pregnancy back then because I feel like I was so ugly. I was so big. My husband gives me a lot of food because that's what I wanted. So he always supported me with everything. So because we're first time parents, we didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think back then there's online information, but it's very very limited for us to do that.
Mm-hmm.
My parents and my in-laws, supported me, but again, it's really something that honestly I didn't really didn't enjoy my pregnancy.
Mm.
Um, Other than that, and after that, so yeah, I had a C-section because my cervix wouldn't open. It's because the umbilical cord of my son actually got strangled in his neck. But after my doctor, I was in an operation. My doctor woke me up, and I heard my baby's crying, and when
Mhm.
it's really magical, I think, and when I saw my baby, I was very, very happy.
Mhm.
And I think my life has been planned for me when when I had him, and I was like, I just thought of like, I want to make sure that I will take care of my son.
Mhm.
I will provide the best for him, not give him a very luxurious life, but I will provide enough and be able to get provide the basic needs for him.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's about it for now.
I loved your story. I think
That's
it was so
that's
lovely.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You go ahead,
But
Gail. What do you want to share?
just a comical line. This is a reminder for me and anybody who is listening. If you don't want to get pregnant and you know you are keeping those old condoms, please get rid of them. Right after this, I'm going to get rid of mine because yeah, no,
Yeah, check the expiration date. Like, flip them over and see when they expire.
exactly, exactly. Because
And
and Camille, you go.
so now I always tell my friends, whoever is using condom, what's the first thing you have to do before you use the condom? You check the expiration date.
It's very, very important, honestly. And as your experience, your story, the way you told it, it's beautiful. And I can literally feel the love you have for your son and the love you have just being a mother.
Mhm.
Like you just give me someone who is supposed to be a mother. And yeah, that's just amazing. And when you were talking about how you felt ugly and you felt like you were fat and everything you went through to the childbirth, it reminded me of there's this creator on TikTok. She's called the girl with the list. She's called Zumi, and she's like an influencer for people who are choosing to be child free. So she has like a list. The last time I checked, she was on reason 301 or something, a list of why women shouldn't have children. And when you were talking about how you felt and all that, it was just like a reminder because I'm child free now and I want to be child free. I don't want to have kids. But yes, you're an amazing example of people who should have children and people who should be mothers, and I applaud you for that. I think your son is lucky to have you as a mom.
I
Thank you
agree
very
with
much. That's so sweet.
I agree with Gail. What I wanted to mention is that your story is all it's very like it shows the resilience and the strength and intelligence of women. But I think also one of the things that I liked about your story is it shows how easily we flow into different like stages and different emotions and different ideas. You said that it wasn't planned and you didn't want to have it, but like things didn't work out. So you went through your pregnancy, and the moment that you heard your son be born, it was like a different thing for you, and you're like, I need to protect this baby. And I think a lot of people might empathize with that situation. There might be people who are like, you know what, I was able to have the abortion, and that made me really happy because like I wasn't ready for this, and this was the perfect choice for me. Which I think this encompasses really well the sentiment of being pro-choice, of choosing things, of kind of like like you can decide to have an abortion and maybe later on be like, no, I don't want one, or maybe at the beginning be like, I want one, and be like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want one. So I really love that, and I think it shows the
Yeah.
autonomy that women can have, and choosing like if they want to be a mother or not. And I think it also shows that, like Gail mentioned, we need to have more access to birth control and just check the expiration date. Make sure that we don't put them in wallets because they will get squished and they will stop working. But and I think I would like to hear from you a little bit more about the kind of the context in the Philippines, because some people might not know how the context for sex education and abortion is in the Philippines. Could you share some of that?
Sure. So the Philippines is a very conservative country in terms of sexual reproductive health. We have the very old, archaic law in terms of abortion. So abortion is illegal here. So it's a and when you get an abortion, it's a criminal act. And in terms of sexual reproductive health, it's not really taught comprehensively at school.
Mm.
There have been some efforts actually to improve the comprehensive sexual education in the Philippines, but still there's a lot of hindrance, especially from the Catholic Church. So we
Mm.
are a very Catholic country. They're very religious. Most of our teachings are and our decisions are based from the religious teachings, and that's influenced a lot in terms of contraceptive methods and of course in abortion as well. So I also wanted to share that when I was young, I have no idea about this. That's why I told you I only use condom because that's the only thing I knew. I
Mhm.
didn't know about other contraceptive methods back then. I
Mm-hmm.
used to see my sister. I remember I think I saw my sister drinking some pills. And I thought it was
Mm.
just medicine for headaches or something. But I didn't dare to ask. But I remember she's doing it every day or something. But I didn't dare to ask. I didn't get to have that information. If you ask that information or of information from your parents, they'll think that you're
Mm.
having sex all the time already. You
Yeah,
have
and you don't want them to know.
Of course, you don't want them to know. It's always a secret. They're always
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're gonna get mad at you. So
Mm.
what you're gonna do? You go to your friends. Your friends don't know if they're telling the correct information or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to school, they're the stories of the birds and the bees in terms of how women get pregnant,
Mhm.
butterflies and everything. So those kind of metaphors are still discussed in school. I went to a Catholic school, and I always tell this story because I this is so funny, and I always remember my science teacher told us that before, back then, menstruation happens for men. So men actually had menstruation way back. But um, the men were very like dirty, so they they put the blood everywhere. So so God decided to put menstruation to women. I I was in grade five,
In a
elementary,
science class.
in a
That's actually
in
a
a
science class.
in a science class.
You know what? That just sounds like women are always being punished for men's mistakes. If you really think
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Right. Right. Because even so, the Christian version of it is that Eve started bleeding as a punishment for, Adam going to take the apple. So, in
Yeah,
all analogies, women suffer for things men do, which is crazy.
I know, right? We're
Ugh.
always the one to blame.
Yeah.
Mm.
You know what? But I think, unfortunately, the three of us, like statistically, we live in like the regions with the most teenage pregnancies, with like the least access to sex
Pregnancy.
education. Because I'm from Latin America, Gail lives in Africa, you're in like in Asia, so we all live in the regions that have like the poorest access to all of these things. And Gail and I have always talked
Mm-hmm.
about how like I think Gail has had more sex education than I have. Didn't you, Gail?
I don't think so. You probably had more than I
Uh
did
huh.
because my sex education was the biology class. They told us like the only thing they showed us was the anatomy. So you just got to know like your body parts as a person. So the body parts of the
Mm-hmm.
male and the female. I remember being taught about menstruation, but it was from a very like scientific point of view. And at that age, I mean, how much of that am I even able to process? So I
Mm.
remember when I got my menses, it was like in my head, oh, I'm just getting this because I'm a girl. Like that's it. That's just the only way I thought of it. So yeah, no. Sex education is non-existent in Ghana. So I think about a year or two ago, I heard that they were trying to introduce it, but then there also came this law they were trying to pass, which was called the Family Values Law. And from the name, you already know it's everything you never ever want as someone who is sexually progressive. So
Mm.
that law was actually fighting for them not to introduce sex comprehensive sex education. I don't I don't know. In Ghana, if you ever had any sex education in your school, maybe you were going to a private school. But besides that, if you are going to a school that's like maybe you went to a Catholic school or you went to like any church related school or you are in a normal public school, yeah, no, you're not getting any sex
Mm-hmm.
education because besides knowing your body parts, so you probably got more than I got. V.
Probably. I think so. Now that I'm thinking about it, at least in middle school, we got a class that showed us how to put condoms on. So I think, I think that's a step up from both of you.
Condom. Never.
Never.
That,
Us
but
too.
yeah, but I did need
Right.
like I was never taught about any other form of contraception, and we did have classes on STIs. But again, they were kind of like sort of poor. It's like this is this, and this. So use a condom and you won't get it, and that was basically the class. Um, but at
I'm
least,
actually impressed.
but at least we got condoms. um, but yeah, no, I was just we were thinking about this because I think a lot of people think that I think you mentioned this a bit, Camille, but a lot of parents and a lot of institutions think that if you teach teenagers about sex education, you'll incite them to have sex, which is not right
Mm.
because one, teenagers, if they want to have sex, they're gonna have it. Like if you think they're not having sex, they're gonna have it. Like there's like 24 hours in a day. They'll find out how to have it if they want to have it. But on like the other point of view of this is that for example, children who have some idea of their body and how sex works are able to identify if they're being molested or if they're being sexually abused. So that's one of the things that needs to be taken into account. But and I think you also mentioned this, Camille, like it was like a secret. You can't actually ask your parents for information. You can't ask, maybe a sibling for information. You can't ask somebody, be like, oh, can you take me to the gynecologist, mom? Like, I want to look at my options. Like, that's never like something that you can think about, right? So, like, how are you gonna
No.
make sure that your kids are protected if you can't openly talk to them about this? And then I wanted, like, this kind of segues into the next question we have, Camille. But how has your pro-choice beliefs influenced your experience as a mother?
It's been really helpful. I think being pro-choice has opened my mind to a lot of information, accurate information that I
Mm,
didn't have when I was young. In the introduction, I said I worked in Cambodia. It was actually only when I went in Cambodia that I knew about other contraceptive methods, that I knew about abortion, that these kinds of services actually exist. And I didn't have those information, those choices
mm-hmm,
when I was young. And I always tell my colleagues in Cambodia that you're very lucky. You your the women and girls are very lucky here in your country because you have that information, you have that services
mm-hmm,
available to you. You can get it if and when you want it. um you can go to the clinic, you go to the hospital and get those information and services. In the Philippines, it's very difficult to get
mm-hmm,
it. Especially, even contraceptive methods. There's a lot of judgment when you are trying to even seek for information on contraceptive, especially when you're young. And the judgment from adults is saying, why do you need that? It's because you're having sex, because there's a lot of like judgment that crowds a lot of people. So being pro-choice actually helped me a lot in terms of, just talking to my friends,
Mhm.
talking about contraceptive methods. I started with telling them actually, when I came to Cambodia and knew about contraceptive methods, I immediately got an implant. I didn't
Mm.
know. I was like, oh my God, when I was in college, I didn't know. I should have I should have used a pill, an implant, or anything. I was like, oh my God, we were just so lucky when I was young. I was just so lucky that it didn't happen. But I was like really surprised that these options are available. So I got an implant. I told my friends about it. I actually had inserted implant 3 times already because I like not
Oh.
having
Uh-huh.
menstruation.
Mm. Mhm.
I
um,
love that for you.
Yeah.
yeah. And then yeah, so that's one of the things that that's that gave me a benefit in terms of being pro-choice and having those information, and also very beneficial as a mother.
Mhm.
It's because I was able to teach my son, as an early age, those kind of information,
Yeah.
about bodily autonomy, even contraceptives, because he knew I had my implant, and I had to explain what an implant is for. That it prevents pregnancy. And I told him I'm not yet ready to be pregnant. Maybe soon, but for now, I'm not yet ready. And there's a lot of other contraceptive methods available,
Mhm.
for women. And I remembered his teacher told me that he was in the class. He actually talked about contraceptives when I think he was 10 or
Bless him.
11. 11 years old. So he was like talking about contraceptives in front of the class. The teacher was telling me, I was like, oh, okay, that's good to know. And then I bought him books because I also, I don't
Mm.
have all the information
Yeah,
in
of
hand. I
course.
mean, there's really interesting books out there that you can actually show to your children. And there's this amazing, I think I found it, I think online, or some, probably one of the organizations that I work with, Amaze.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
um
Uh-huh.
yeah, the Amaze videos, they do, cartoons, illustration and videos that are very, child friendly. There's a lot of, messages that are age appropriate, and, very comprehensive in terms of information
Mhm.
on comprehensive education. So I knew, I showed him to my son. I told him to watch it with my supervision as well. I mean, we watch it together, and I explained what is it.
Mm.
Yeah, so it really, I didn't have that kind of conversation when I was young with my mom. So I was just really lucky that I was able to do that with my son, and then be able to impart the knowledge that I have, and also the information resources available out there for him.
I love
Hmm.
that. No, I admire that
I,
so much, right, Gil? Like we're both like just
yeah.
amazed. Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm proud of him and I'm proud of you for what you're doing. Cause like you're raising a sexually responsible young man who is going to also respect women and respect the experiences of women, because like you are sitting down with him and then teaching him like all these things. Because I feel like sometimes parents get it wrong. I'm not a parent, so this is my opinion.
As a daughter.
But I think if, as a daughter, and as I feel like if I were to become like a mother, I would take the same approach you are taking, Camille, because I grew up in a very religious home. I always say this. And so, like, there was no sex talk, there was nothing. Everything I picked up about sex was from my friends. And unfortunately for me, I also grew up being like the youngest in my class. So, people were older than me by 2 or 3 years. So, they were at a point where they have started getting to know their bodies and I didn't. So it felt like I was learning things ahead of my time, and I just soaked all those things up. So in my late teens, when I became sexually active, I was sexually irresponsible. I had a phase where I was just very anxious and ready to, like, explore and experience everything. I felt like when I was under like my mom's control, when I was living in her house, all the things I couldn't do, I felt like I couldn't do or couldn't talk about. I was in such a rush to experience it that I made a lot of bad like decisions. I did a lot of things that in retrospect, if I was educated enough, if I had like an older person sit me down and have certain conversations with me, there are decisions I would not have made. So a lot of parents get that wrong. You think not talking about it, not educating your child is going to, I don't know, protect them or some. It's not. I feel like it does the opposite, because and now we are in a digital world where even in like animations and all that, they are showing people in relationships, they are showing, so these kids are getting exposed to it. You can set a PG whatever on their tablets, on their phone, one way or the other they are going to get to see it. You just need to make sure that the things they are learning is coming from you, which is coming from like a caring and educative place, not just them, feeding into whatever the media puts out there. Because, like, we know media representation of sex is never right. It's never what children should feed off. Even for adults, it's never right. It just cues your brain about sexual relationships and bodily autonomy and all that. So yeah, I love what you're doing.
I agree with Gail. I think that there's something really powerful in knowing that like knowledge is power. Being educated is super important. So I really loved how you said that there's books that you found. And I think it's also important to remember that parents have to have a lot of responsibilities, and sometimes like a lot of them fall on them. And I feel like it's okay to acknowledge that we don't have the answers to everything, that a parent might not know everything. So your approach to, you know what, I don't know all of the things. I'm going to share this responsibility with institutions or organizations that know more than I do. And you and I are going to learn about this together. And I'm going to supervise you to make sure that you're getting the information that's accurate, but it's also appropriate for your age, which I think is just like a lovely way to do this. And I think also that you're breaking a lot of generational cycles. You know, the cycle of it happens, but we're not going to talk about it. We're going to ignore what's happening. And you broke this with your child, you know, and probably in the future, if he wants to have children, he'll probably be open with them and be like, you know what, this is what's going on. Like, you need to know this. And then we'll have more generations where it's, I mean, hopefully we'll have future generations where it's not taboo, it's not stigmatized. And, you know, we reduce teenage pregnancy, we reduce STIs, we reduce a lot of the things that can harm people because they never had access to sex education. Now, I wanted to ask you, Camille, throughout your journey of becoming a mother, was there ever an instance where you had to defend your reproductive choice before and after being a mother? Was there ever like an instance at a hospital, with family, with friends, where you felt like you were stigmatized or judged? Maybe you had really great experiences. What was this like for you?
I think after being a mother, so there's a lot of judgment, especially because right now I only have one son. So it happens all the time during reunions. So in the Philippines, when you get together, the expectations for married couples is to have probably at least three kids or
Mm,
more, or they'll just assume that you should have more because, they think that you're, living a good life, you have enough, so that they would assume that you can actually, have more children. So there's a lot of like that. And I just tried it to kind of like sometimes I just joke on my aunts and my uncles, and I when they ask, why do you not have another child? Are you gonna pay for my son's education? Are you gonna
mm, yeah.
provide for my child? Or sometimes just to said, I mean, just to avoid it ever because have conversation. Just I'm not just ready to have one yet. Maybe soon. We'll never know. So there's really a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of conversations like that. You had to to talk about. And there's also sometimes I choose my battles. I know,
Mm.
I mean, if I know that person is really close-minded, something, even though you talk about something, they're just gonna shut their minds or eyes about it. I mean, I don't usually spend time to explain my side or what I'm standing for. So I just try to talk to people who are really, really open about it and are curious about what's going on about it, and then what kind of decisions I made. And it's also in using contraceptive. So I did tell my because they would I think one time they saw me, I have a bandage in my arm, and saying what did you have, and it's told me I have an implant, and there's a lot of misconception about implant, that you can no longer move anything, what happens
Mm.
to your physical activity, what happens to your fertility, you're not going to have any more children soon, or there's a lot of misconceptions about it, and there's a lot of kind of like judgment of why do you have to use an implant, you're married, why do you need a contraceptive
Mm-hmm.
method. So
Mm.
there's a lot of expectations that if you're married, then your role as a mother is to be pregnant and to have a child,
Yeah.
raise a child, take care of your
Mm-hmm.
children.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy because if you think about it, for example, Gail is your polar opposite, right? Like she knows she does not want to have any children, and she will hopefully will not have them because that's her choice. But both of you are like facing some sort of stigmas, no? Like at some like both of you are facing this. Why aren't you having any children? Like Gail doesn't have any, and she might
Mm-hmm.
face like, why don't you have any children? You already have a child, and you're still facing the why don't you have more children? So that's really wild when you think
More.
about it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
society just takes and takes and takes from women. Like it's never enough, honestly. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not even surprised.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry that you have to experience this, but like we mentioned, I like hopefully in the future it gets better. We don't I don't know, ask women who are married and who already have children like why are you using contraception? No, it's still your body, you don't
Mm,
have to become pregnant if you don't want to. It's
yeah.
precisely this part of like being pro-choice. You can choose whenever you want to have a child or not, and that implies using contraception if you want. And speaking about being pro-choice, I wanted to ask you, Camille, how powerful are mothers' voices to the pro-choice movement in your experience?
I think it's very powerful. I mean, now that I'm actually sharing my story, I'm very, glad that I had this opportunity to talk to you guys and also share my story of, being pro-choice and also as a mother, because as I've said earlier, there's a lot of benefits and advantages of being pro-choice, and be able to know that you can actually have a choice in terms of what to do with your body, and no one could ever dictate what to do with your body. And I'm also very lucky that my husband is very supportive of my
Mm.
decision, because sometimes for married couples there's this discussion with husband and wives in terms of having children, and he'd always support me to always say it's your body, it's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide if you want, if you're ready, if you're not yet ready. So it's really very powerful if motherhood could be able to experience that and continue to be able to have a choice over their bodies. Then I guess, I mean, women will be very happy. Women and girls are very happy, contented. And if we are happy and contented, it's a lot of other advantages as well that's gonna happen in the family, in the environment, in the society. And when you have those choices, it's really beneficial. I mean, I didn't have that back then. I was Now that I'm a mother and I'm able to have those choices, and I think it's also lucky to have it.
Mm-hmm. We love that for you. Like Gail and I are just like, that's amazing. Like you have this partner that supports you. This emphasizes that women need a really good support system. If we do not have that support system, like
Mm-hmm.
we're not gonna advance. What do you think, Gail?
Yeah, totally. Because I'm very certain I've not interacted with anyone like that, but I'm very certain that there are married women who don't want kids anymore, but because their partners are not, sold on the idea, they keep having kids, they keep getting pregnant because a lot of, I mean, even though now we are in a world where power to us feminists, as always. So a lot of us are, independent. We are financially independent, earning our money. There's still a very large percentage of women out there who do not have access to like jobs and all of that. One of our colleagues, Kat, made a statement the last time that we need to identify working as a woman as a privilege,
Yeah.
because like years back it was not a thing as women can do, and now it's a privilege, but it's also a privilege that some people cannot afford. So for women like that, they're under the control of their partners, they're under the control of their husbands. So there are women out there who want to get contraception. There are women out there who they just don't want to have kids anymore, but their husbands sees them as you're the homemaker.
Hmm.
You're like your breeding machine basically, so let's just keep popping these kids out whether you want to or do not want to. So yeah, I think your husband is amazing. He's I don't like men, but I could like him because he's this amazing and supportive of you and your bodily autonomy. So yeah.
Yeah, we love that. We love that for you. Hopefully, everyone can find a
Mm-hmm,
partner like
mm-hmm.
that. So we have
Right.
our next segment, and I think Gail can take it over because I know that you love this segment. But it's called Ridiculous or Tea, where we bust myths. So Gail's gonna give us some prompts, and we have to say whether what she's saying is ridiculous or it's tea, if it's true. So
T.
Gail, please go ahead.
Yeah. So our first myth: mothers do not support or have abortions. You think this is a ridiculous statement, or is it T?
It's ridiculous.
Yes,
Definitely ridiculous.
100%
Mm.
ridiculous.
I support
Right.
abortion. I'm a mother. And I know a mother with one child who has already had an abortion. So
And I think
Mm.
also that
And
we don't
mhm.
we don't take enough space to actually listen to mothers, because I'm sure if we listen to them, then we'd hear more about their stories of, no, I don't want to have any more children, or maybe I want to have an abortion. So that's also
Yeah.
on us for not listening to them more.
And there are also mothers who get pregnant. So someone could have two kids, could have three kids, or even one child, and they get pregnant with their next one and decide, oh, you know what, this is not unplanned, and we are not ready. I'm not ready for this, so they get abortion. So that's a ridiculous statement. If you think or you say that, I hope you've been educated by the three of us today. Next statement: if you've had an abortion before and have kids now, you must regret the abortion you had. Is this ridiculous or is it tea?
ridiculous.
I'm gonna go with ridiculous too.
Mm,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean,
So I
every
think, I mean,
feeling.
Because mhm,
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think
yes,
every
go
feeling
go
is
ahead.
valid too. Every feeling is valid, but I feel like
yeah.
you can't shame someone or be like, you had an abortion before, you can't have children now. Like, I think that's just ridiculous. What were you gonna say, Camille?
I was gonna say every experience is different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm,
there'll be a time in your life that you will make these decisions in your life, and and you would say that's actually the best decision I've made. And again, I'm just going back, for women who have that chance to have an abortion, because again, in our place in the Philippines, you don't even get to have that choice to have an abortion. So you are
mm.
forced to continue your pregnancy, to you are, you didn't have that choice. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree. And our last myth for today: abortion is a selfish choice. Ridiculous or tea?
Ridiculous.
ridiculous. My eyes wide open.
I think a lot of people, when you talk about, abortions, they think like the choice to have a child or not ends like at the pregnancy, no? They're like, if you have an
Mm,
abortion, like it's selfish, but you have to think about like if you continue the pregnancy, you are with your child your whole life. If you cannot guarantee your child your best capacity mentally, physically, economically, then it's selfish to keep a child that you know that you can't give them the best opportunities in life, you know? I think that's more selfish. But a lot of people who are anti choice kind of just think about this argument up until the pregnancy. And once the child is born, they're like, well, that's not my
mm,
problem. You had him. So, you know, whatever. So I think that's
yeah,
one of the issues.
they're
Yeah.
out. Mm, mm. Yeah, I totally agree. And I actually think having kids for the sake of having kids is a selfish choice
Yeah.
because there are people out here getting pregnant for, I don't know, it's like for some points, societal points, just so they can have, like, people say, oh, I want a mini me. Why do you want a mini you? Like, have you seen this world? Have you seen the state of this world? And imagine if the mini me is a girl. You're bringing a girl that you've actually not sat down to think of. Can I mentally, emotionally, physically provide for this baby girl?
Mm-hmm.
Can I support this baby girl? And a lot of people also talk about, oh, like I just need to do this until they hit 18. You don't have to be a mother if you think motherhood stops at 18. Because I feel like if you have a baby, you have a baby for life, babe.
Until you are the
That's your
death.
child
Mm-hmm.
for life. Exactly. That's your child for life. So a lot of people are out here thinking, oh, when they hit 18, I'm good, I'm okay, I'll be my own person. No. Like, if you think like that, I really think that you need to sit down and assess your reasons for wanting kids. Why do you want children? If you're not like Camille, don't have kids. We don't need you. We don't need you popping out kids. The world is literally dying. Have you guys not heard of climate change? Like, look at the rise of incels, look at the rise of patriarchy, look at misogyny, look at how women's rights, human rights in general, is declining. Look at the genocide happening in Palestine. Why are you giving birth for the sake of being a mother? You don't even want to be. You just want society to see you as accomplished woman. And society is shit for that as well. Oh, I'm going into one of my rants again. I rest my case. I'm sure I've gotten my point
As
across.
you can tell, Camille, Gail is very cemented on her not having children ever. Both of you.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think that's also one of the reasons why, I don't want to have another child. It's because, I mean, what's happening in this world? I pity my child, actually,
Mm,
I mean, what would the world will be when he grows old or grows up?
Yeah.
What are the things that he's gonna expect? I mean, as you said, women's rights are declining. We're
yeah.
going
Mm,
backwards. We've been fighting for this for decades, and now we're going backwards, and I
mm,
don't know
mm.
why. And I'm just only one. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world. I mean, if only a lot, most of the people could be able to talk to their children about being pro-choice, about this
Yeah.
kind of information. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's good, but there's, again, access to this information are very limited. Not everyone would have this information at hand. So yeah, and being a mother is, I'm gonna rant as well, Gail, but being a mother
That's
is
okay. Go
is
ahead.
is is very difficult.
Mm,
It's not, yeah, it's a lot of, difficulties. There's a lot of course, happy times and everything, but most of it, it's a commitment. You are responsible for your child, and I always tell my son that, I mean, when you grow old, I mean, you don't have to take care of us. You
mm,
you
mm-hmm.
Mm,
don't
yeah.
have to mind, our expenses, how we live as we grow old. Don't worry about us. You don't have to give it back to me. You don't have to give back. If you give something, it's your choice. It's up to you. Thank you for giving that, but you don't have the responsibility to take care of me, and or like give it back, the things
Mm-hmm.
that I gave to you, because it's my responsibility. I bring you to this world. I should be able to give you food, education, everything that you need. And then, yeah.
No, that's a great way of reflecting this. You know, it's the
Yeah.
most unselfish way of viewing having children. You know, and it's like both of you mentioned. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm 27. I annoy my mom every day. So like being a mom is like being a mom for life. But my mom is very similar. She's like, you don't have to do anything for me. Like my life, like your life or your lives. Like you don't have to worry about me. And I think because she's so open and everything, like my brother and my sister and I, we're always helping my mom out. Like we always like make sure that she's okay. We're always like on top of it. So I feel like giving them this space actually makes your child be more like, no, like my mom's so wonderful. I want to help her out as much as I can instead of forcing them and being
Mm-hmm.
like, you have to take care of me and I brought you into this life and you have to do what I say. Like that's not
Oh,
the way to go.
ah, and a lot of people are having kids so that, oh, when I grow old, someone is going to take care of me. You can go to a home if you
Yeah.
can't live by yourself. I think that's also one of the things I hear that just like really, really annoys me. Because what do you mean? Are they your slave? I don't understand. But a lot of people also have that mentality that, yeah, I need to have kids so that in my old age I have people to like, take
Yeah.
care of me. And back to like just localizing this, so there was this whole thing on Twitter. I'm in Ghana, by the way, Camille. And so Ghana, Nigeria, we are like brother and sister and whatever. And I was on Nigerian Twitter and they were having this conversation about, women who decide to be child free and all that. And there were lots of men saying, oh, I'm never going to marry a woman like that. I'm never going to want to be with a woman like that because I want to continue my legacy. Yeah, I'm sorry, your words, legacy. With how much in your bank accounts? Legacy. What? What industry have you built for the
Like who
world?
are
You
you?
want to
Who are
continue your
you?
legacy? Exactly. Your legacy that includes like what? Five shirts, three pants, and maybe four sneakers. Is that the legacy you want to pass on to a whole human being? Oh, yeah. I'm done again.
As you can tell, Gail's a very passionate one on our team, but I agree with her. You know, what legacy are you going to give your child? Like, realistically, what legacy are you going to give?
Oh.
So our ridiculous or tea segment is over. As you can see, it's our most exciting
Mhm.
segment of the call. But we're coming close to the end, and I have two more questions for you, Camille, before we close everything. So the first one is, what advice would you give to mothers out there who are venturing into being reproductive advocates?
I think my advice, just continue doing it. Um, and they also need some support. They
Mm.
need our support. They need other support, everyone's support for those mothers who are advocating for reproductive rights. I mean, for me, I tried to do it one step at a time. I tried to talk to one person at a time. But I just advise them to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And don't be afraid. Because of course, when you do it, there's a lot of judgment. Of
Yeah.
course, there's a lot of eyes gonna look at you. There's a lot of um, misconceptions gonna happen as well. Especially
Mhm.
if people know about you about like that. Um, but I think if no one's doing it, I mean, it's kind of like a lost opportunity if not a lot of mothers are actually advocating for that. So
Yeah.
I just
Mhm.
keep doing it. I would truly support you.
And I think also this is for
Yeah.
people like Gail and myself who don't have children and are like pro-choice and reproductive advocates. We need to do better at including moms in the space because maybe they feel kind of like
Mm-hmm.
on the outside, maybe a bit intimidated. And we need to open these
That's
spaces.
true.
We need to do live streams. We need to create at the I live in Mexico City, and at the mothers, like the Women's Day march, there's like a whole segment for mothers, and all like the mothers had their little children with them at the march, and they were teaching their kids like, we're fighting for this. This is important. So we need to make sure that the spaces are
Uh,
safe for both the mothers and the children, because a lot of the times mothers come with their children, so we need to be better at doing that. What would you add, Gail?
Yeah, same. And just what you both said, and that's also it's a learning process. I mean, you're not just going to get up one day and you have it all figured out. Even for us who have been doing this for years, we are still learning. You will unlearn, you will learn. So it's just about putting one foot in front of the other, and look for other people that you could build a community with.
Mm-hmm.
Try to reach out to other mothers who are doing same. And even if not mothers, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to organizations like us. Maybe you want to partner with us to make a post. We will be with you from like the beginning, and make sure that everything is great. You should also educate yourself. So go to pro-choice organizations, their websites, read, just be updated so that when you are speaking based on facts. Even when you are sharing your experience, there's just a way that you can intertwine it with factual things that will give you more authority so that you're not just speaking for speaking sake. And if you are also informed and educated, you will not spread any sort of misinformation or misconception, which also can affect the authority you have and your credibility. So yeah, just um, find a community, build a community. You can reach out to reproductive health organizations. You can be on their websites and just keep yourself updated, one step after the other. You make it. Don't worry, it's a learning process. Just don't give up, like Camille said.
Yeah, no, that's great. And our final question, Camille, are there any encouraging words for mothers who have made reproductive choices like having an abortion? What would you say to them?
I would say to them that don't be too hard on yourself. You did what you had to do, and that's okay.
Mm,
Um,
Yeah.
and and I always say, if you had an abortion, you're actually very lucky because gonna say this again, in countries like the Philippines,
yeah,
you don't have to get that choice.
no, you're so
Yeah.
right. We need to be thankful for the opportunities we have, advocate for them to
Mm-hmm.
continue, and advocate for those who don't have those opportunities. And again, like you mentioned, if there's any mothers who want to have an abortion or they need help, they can go to either How to Use Abortion Pill or Safe to Choose, and we'll be here to support you. Any final words from you, Gil?
Uh, yeah, just know that you are not alone, irrespective of even how you feel. Because I know sometimes it can get very lonely, but there are people there, there are organizations out there, and now more than ever, you have support. I feel like with things feeling as if we are going back, women are banding together, we are coming together more. Now there are so many collectives, there are so many organizations, there are just so many women out there who are championing like women's rights, who are championing like bodily autonomy. There's someone out there you can speak to. There always is. You just need to pick up your phone and search. You are not alone. You are supported. You are worth it. Your decision is valid, irrespective of how the people around you will make you feel, or even how the voices in your head will make you feel, because of how we've been socialized as women, that as a woman you have to be a mother, you have to have a certain number of children. You don't have to be anything. All you have to be is yourself, and all you have to be is happy. As long as you are happy, yeah, fuck what they say.
Yeah. Like, and I think it's so nice to know that, like, if anybody's watching this, they see at least like three people who will support them, no matter if we're in like different locations. We will support you. Send us a message, and we will listen
Yeah.
to you. So we're at the end of our live stream. Camille, is there any resources that you want to share? Any personal projects you're working on? Any additional thing you would like to say before we wrap up?
Um, I guess go to Safe to Choose websites. I think there's a lot of information, appropriate, reliable information on, abortion, on contraceptive choice. I mean, I go to these websites, and as Gail mentioned, need to learn continuously, because there's a lot of information out there, and you need to be updated in those information. You'll never know, there's another new contraceptive method that's
Yeah.
available, hopefully for men.
Mm-hmm.
But
Fingers crossed.
Right, right.
but yeah, I mean, those resources, as I've said earlier, also like the Amaze videos, they're very
Hmm.
very entertaining, at the same time very informative, especially for mothers who have children. It's a good resource for you to go to. And I think, and just to end here, is to just, I think sharing stories is very powerful as well. I was very lucky to be able to share my story. Um, at first, honestly, I'm still skeptical, especially, with what my family would react to, or my friends would react to. But I think I passed that, phase. But sharing a story is very powerful, and it shows that, you know, um, my story might be similar to other mother's story, to other women's story, and that knowing that story is the saying that they're not alone. There are a lot of women who are experiencing the same things, regarding, sexual reproductive health, or abortion.
Hmm. That's beautiful. No, that's really great, and I think we're so thankful for you to coming to the space, because, as we mentioned, we do not have children,
Mm-hmm.
so we didn't want to talk about this if we didn't have the experience. So it's really lovely to have somebody who does and could share that information. Gail, can you share the resources for how to use abortion pill for anyone who's listening and wants to know more?
So if you're listening and if you or someone you know or love has decided to have an abortion with pills, how to use has videos, self-managed videos is is a series of videos, very short videos, very interactive that you can watch. So it takes you through the abortion process, right from, calculating how far along your pregnancy is, to how to take the pills, the symptoms to expect, signs of very rare complications, and what to do even after your abortion. We also have Ali. Ali is our chatbot who is available 24/7 to chat with you in different languages. So Ali can answer any questions you have about how to use the abortion pill. If you are a medical provider who also comes across this video, we have something just for you. We have a free course on medical abortion for providers, so that you'll be able to provide person-centered care for abortion seekers around the world. And as always, you can just type into your Google bar how to use abortionpill.org. You can also find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, um, yeah, and on YouTube as how to use abortion pill.
That's like Gail said, like, this is a website that has so much information and can help you whenever you need an abortion, especially when you decide that you want to have a medical abortion, and the steps that are there. And Ali is free on
Mm-hmm.
WhatsApp, social media like Facebook and Instagram, on the website, so go check her out.
Yeah.
From my end, we are safetochoose.org. We are also a digital e-health platform that provides information on abortions, whether it be information on abortion with pills or an in-clinic abortion. And one of the great things that we have is our abortion counselors who speak different languages such as English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Swahili, Luganda. We have also information in many languages, including Tagalog for those who are in the Philippines. And we also have a great toolkit for abortion providers. So if you want to learn more about providing abortion support online, you can go to our toolkit. It's free, it's available year round. But yes, remember you have howtouseabortionpill.org and safetochoose.org for this information. And we will always be here to support you, judgment free, stigma free, no matter the circumstances. We will be here and listen to your story and help you find the best decision for you. So thank you again, Camille, for everything, for sharing your experience. We hope that you enjoyed the space here and our our rants and our passion. But yes, thank you
Mm-hmm.
everyone for joining, and I hope everyone has a good day, and remember to give a lot of love to
Yeah.
mothers this May. Give them a lot of love, a lot of support, and always support their decisions. So thank you everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.